On First at 9 this Wednesday, the 27th of August 2025. Confidential information. Former President Ranil Wickremesinghe advised to remain in the ICU of the Colombo National Hospital for a few more days, reveals the hospital's Deputy Director Dr. Rukshan Bellana. Acting Health Minister vows disciplinary action against Dr. Bellana for disclosing the former President's confidential medical information to the media. Global Spotlight. Foreign Minister Vijitha Herath says the international community is now witnessing how Sri Lanka applies the law equally, pushing back against past accusations of selective enforcement. Bailed. Ex-IGP Deshabandhu Tennakon released on bail. Court imposes strict conditions including a foreign travel ban and a warning not to influence witnesses. Tragic loss. School van collides with speeding tipper truck in Kuliyapitiya, claiming the lives of 2 minors and the van driver.
Asian Paint Causeway Aquasafe Miladikina LED TV run voucher ඇතුළු තවත් හැකි රසක් දිනා ගන්න.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening, you're joining First at 9, brought to you by Sri Lanka's most trusted news source, Derana. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. In your top story this evening, Deputy Director of the Colombo National Hospital, Dr. Rukshan Bellana, revealed that former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, who was released on bail yesterday, may require surgical intervention for his health conditions. Meanwhile, Acting Minister of Health and Mass Media Dr. Hansaka Wijayamuni announced that disciplinary action will be taken against Dr. Bellana for disclosing the former President's confidential medical information to the media.
The Fourth Magistrates Court yesterday ordered the release of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, who was in remand custody over allegations of misappropriating public funds. He was granted bail on 3 surety bonds of 500,000 rupees each. Subsequently, a team of court officials, including the registrar, visited the Colombo National Hospital yesterday afternoon to obtain Wickremesinghe's signature on the bail documents. Meanwhile, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, along with several public representatives, visited the hospital today to check on the former president's condition.
I came to check on his health, but due to ongoing treatment, I couldn't meet him in person. However, we are confident he is receiving the necessary medical attention. This arrest occurred while the former president was fully cooperating with the investigation. No leader of this country has been arrested since King Sri Vikrama Rajasinghe. This act reeks of political vengeance.
In the meantime, Deputy Director of the Colombo National Hospital, Dr. Rukshan Bellana, stated that medical specialists have advised continued treatment for the former president in the intensive care unit for several more days.
The panel of specialists who met with the former president this morning said that he might have to remain in the ICU to receive further medical attention. Yesterday, it was revealed that 3 of the 4 major arteries associated with his heart were blocked. Subsequently, I instructed that the former president remain in the ICU to undergo surgery for his condition. While there's no immediate emergency, early surgical intervention is advisable to avoid further risk.
However, Acting Minister of Health and Mass Media Dr. Hansaka Wijayamuni announced that disciplinary measures would be taken against Dr. Bellana for publicly commenting on the former president's medical status without official clearance.
Dr. Bellana had no authority to comment. Former president was not admitted under his direct supervision. Disciplinary action will be taken against him. Regardless of rank, no official has the right to release a patient's medical details without proper authorization. We will definitely implement disciplinary action against him.
brand new TVS XL 100
Minister of Foreign Affairs Vijitha Herath says the international community is now observing how the law is applied equally to everyone in Sri Lanka, countering previous allegations that law and order were not enforced fairly. He made this remark at the cabinet briefing today while responding to journalists' questions regarding the arrest of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
හිටපු ජනාධිපති රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයව අත්අඩංගුවට ගන්නවා පෞද්ගලික සංචාරයක් සඳහා රජයේ මුදල් වැය කරයි කියලා චෝදනාවට අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවෙන්. හැබැයි දැන් වත්මන් ජනාධිපතිතුමාටත් අනුරාධපුරයේ එතුමාගේ අම්මව බෑන් යනවා ඊට පස්සේ මලගෙවල් වල යන නැත්නම් එතුමාගේ පෞද්ගලික දේවල් වලට යද්දි එහෙම ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා. එතකොට ජනාධිපතිවරයෙක් මෙහෙම තමන්ගේ පෞද්ගලික කටයුත්තකට යනවා නම් එහෙම ක්‍රමවේද ආරක්ෂාව පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නැද්ද? නිල වාහන පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නැද්ද? මොකක්ද ක්‍රමවේදයක්?
ලංකාව තුල මලගෙදරක යන්නේ
We cannot compare travelling within the island with chartering an entire flight for personal purposes. Normally, state employees are permitted to use state vehicles for private purposes under specific conditions which are clearly outlined in circulars. The issue here is the misuse of public property. A complaint regarding this matter was made to the CID. After investigating and recording statements from multiple individuals, the case was submitted to the court. The court issued an arrest order but granted bail due to health considerations while legal proceedings continue. The people of this country had expectations. In the past, the law was not applied equally to everyone. For the first time in Sri Lanka, the law is being enforced fairly. This is not a case of private or political revenge, nor an attempt to impose a constitutional dictatorship.
පක්ෂේ ඒ අය එකට එකතු වුණා. ඒ අය කියපු කාරණයක් තමයි අත්අඩංගුවට අරන් තියෙන්නේ මහා බැංකු ප්‍රශ්නෙට නෙමෙයි. බටලන්ද ප්‍රශ්නෙට නෙමෙයි. එහෙම වුණා නම් ඒ අය රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්මයා වෙනුවෙන් පෙනී ඉන්න එන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. දැන් මොකක්ද ඇත්තටම මේවට වෙන්නේ ඉදිරියේදී?
පැමිණිල්ලක් ලැබුණේ.
The complaint in question relates only to this specific incident, which is what the investigation addressed. Future measures will be taken according to complaints and allegations received, and measures will be taken against different individuals. This particular incident is a separate case.
මේ විමර්ශන ඉවර කරලා නීතිපතිවරයාගෙන් උපදෙස් අරගෙන ඒ සමගාමීව මේ දේවල් වුණා නම් මේ වගේ තත්වයකට එන්නේ නැතුව වැරද්දක් කරලා තියෙනවා නම් ඒකට වරදට දඬුවම් ලැබෙන විදිහට සාර්ථක තත්වයකට එන්න පුළුවන්ද නැත්නම් තවත් ප්‍රශ්නයක් විදිහට දැන් මේ මෙවැනි ආරාධනාවක් රාජතාන්ත්‍රිකව කරා කියන යන වගට නිකන් හරි විමර්ශනවලදී තීරණය වුණොත් ඔප්පු වුණොත් මොන වගේ තත්වයක් ඇති වේද අපරාධ නේද මේ මහන්සිය
This is now a court case, so I cannot comment on that. The court will provide the final decision. The police act differently depending on the situation. Sometimes they seek the Attorney General's advice, sometimes they do not. If there are issues with how it was handled, the court will clarify.
අඩුපාඩුවක් වෙලා තියෙනවා නම් මොකද්ද කියන එකත් උසාවිය මගින්ම තීරණය වෙයි.
ලංකාවට යම්කිසි බලපෑමක් එළවිය හැකි ජාත්‍යන්තර ප්‍රජාව මේ වෙලාවේ ආණ්ඩුව පැත්තට බලපෑමක් එල්ල වෙන ආකාරයේ විවිධ ප්‍රකාශ මම දැක්ක නිකුත්ලා තිනවා මේ හරහා මේ සිදුවීමත් එක්ක ජාත්‍යන්තරව අපිට කිසිම බලපෑමක් නැද්ද
කිසිදු රාජතාන්ත්‍රිකයෙක් හෝ කිසිදු රාජතාන්ත්‍රික සංවිධානයක්
No diplomat or diplomatic agency has made official comments. Only 2 individuals made remarks which do not require attention. No High Commission, embassy or ambassador has issued any official statement. The international community can observe that the law in Sri Lanka is now applied equally to all citizens. Previously, there were allegations that law and order were not properly implemented. Now the world can see that it is being enforced fairly.
ඉතින් අද මුළු රටටම මුළු ලෝකෙටම පිළිගන්න පුළුවන් නීතිය කාටත් සමානයි කියලා.
තුමා එතනදී හිටපු ජනාධිපතිවරයා ප්‍රකාශ කරන්නේ මේ ජනාධිපතිවරයෙක් වුණාම ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ පෞද්ගලික සංචාර නිල සංචාර කියලා දෙයක් නැහැ ඔක්කොම ජනාධිපතිවරයා ඒකම ගණන්නේ කියලා.
ඔය කාරණාව තමයි නීතිඥවරුන්ගේ පැත්තෙන් විවාදයට ලක් කරලා තියෙන්නේ.
That is the argument from the defendants party, while prosecutors argue the opposite. The final decision will determine whether public property was misused in accordance with the laws of the country.
තියෙන මූලික ඒ අදාළ නීති වලට යටත්ව මේක විභාග කරේ.
ඉන්දියාවේ ප්‍රබල නළුවෙකු මේ වෙන විටත් ඔහුගේ දේශපාලන කැම්පේන් එක අරන් යනවා කච්චතිව් දූපත නැවතත් ඉන්දියාවට පවර ගන්නවායි කියලා. රාජතාන්ත්‍රික ලෙස නැවතත් ඒ ප්‍රශ්නෙට මුහුණ දෙන්න වැඩපිළිවෙලක් තියෙනවද ඔබතුමන්ලට?
කච්චතිව් දූපත
Kachativ belongs to Sri Lanka and that will not change. It is election season in southern India and candidates often make such statements to gain votes.
ඒක දේවල් කියනවා. ඡන්ද ගන්න.
දෙන්න පුළුවන්ද කච්චතිව් දූපත මොනම හේතුවක් උඩවත් රාජතාන්ත්‍රික බලපෑමක් මතවත් නැවතත් ඉන්දියාවට දෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා ඔබතුමාට මේ වෙලාවට ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න පුළුවන්ද?
පැහැදිලි ඒක තමයි මේ කිව්වේ.
SJB MP Mujibur Rahman emphasises that the rule of law must apply equally to all, not just to members of the opposition. He stressed that the government has a responsibility to uphold justice by holding its own members accountable. With that, let's take a closer look at the latest developments unfolding in the political arena today.
විරුද්ධ පක්ෂයට නීති ආධිපත්‍ය විතරක් නෙමෙයි
The rule of law shouldn't apply only to members of the opposition. The government must enforce it equally on its own members too. Start from the secretary to the president, because what he did was also a misuse of state property. We can't accept them trying to satisfy JVPers by planning arrests at the JVP headquarters. Even the current president attends funerals and weddings, so what about the money spent on security for those events?
මගුල් ගෙවල් වලට යනවා. ඒකට ඒවට ගිය ආරක්ෂක නිලධාරීන්ට වීරම් කරපු මුදල්
මෙච්චර කාලයක් නඩත්තු කරගෙන ආපු මේ ඊනියා ප්‍රභූත්වය දිය වෙලා යනවා.
The so-called aristocracy that was maintained all this time is now being dismantled. It is to prevent that dismantling that they have now united. But we will not allow that line of division to be drawn on the nation's soil ever again. I'm a doctor, and while I haven't examined Ranil personally, it seems as he has every illness listed in the Kumar and Clark textbook, the very book we study from.
පොතේ තියෙන හැම ලඩක්ම තිබ්බා වගේ තමයි ඒක ඉදිරිපත් උනේ.
When we look at the medical reports, the lawyers have taken away whatever hope Ranil Wickremesinghe might have had to return to politics in the future. It sounds like he needs to be on bed rest for the rest of his life. And when we look at the photo taken of the joint opposition, it's almost too good. Such an attractive picture to keep looking at. Everyone who had a hand in ruining the country is right there.
කොච්චර හරි බලන් ඉන්න පුළුවන් පින්තූරයක් ඒක. මේ රට විනාශ කරපු සියල්ලෝ මෙතන ඉන්නවා.
සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහත්මයාගේ
I highly commend Sajid Premadas's visit to see Ranil despite all the issues and disagreements between them. Both these parties are one.
ඉතින් මේ පක්ෂ දෙකම එකයි.
හොඳම ෆෝන් එකක් ගන්න. ළඟම බාන්ස් එකට යන්න.
The Fourth Magistrates Court today ordered the release on bail of former IGP Deshabandhu Tendakon, who had been remanded in custody for failing to prevent the attack on the Goalface protest site on May 9, 2022 during the People's Struggle. Granting bail, Fourth Magistrate Nilupuli Lankapura imposed strict conditions on the suspect, including a foreign travel ban and a warning not to influence witnesses.
Former IGP Deshabandhu Tendakon was arrested by the Criminal Investigation Department on August 21st for failing to prevent the attack on the Goalface protest site on May 9, 2022. The suspect was subsequently produced before the Fourth Magistrates Court and remanded in custody until today. The case was recalled before the Fourth Magistrates Court today, with the remanded former IGP joining the proceedings virtually. During proceedings, Deputy Solicitor General Vasantha Perera submitted a report on the ongoing investigations against the suspect. He stated that statements had been recorded from 4 civilians and 23 police officers present at the Goalface protest site on May 9, 2022. Riot control and water cannon units had been deployed, but no action was taken initially to stop the attackers. He added that the former IGP, as the senior officer, had failed to issue the necessary orders despite being informed of the attack. Proper action, he further stated, could have prevented the incident. The Deputy Solicitor General also noted that keeping the suspect in custody encourages witnesses to come forward and requested that the suspect remain in custody. In response, Counsel Ajit Patirana moved for bail on behalf of former IGP Tendakon. He stated that there is no legal provision to keep suspects in custody until all witnesses have given statements, and added that bail is the default under the law, with denial of bail being the exception. Accordingly, he requested the release of his client, former IGP Deshabandhu Tendakon, on bail under any reasonable conditions. Considering the submissions, Fourth Magistrate Nilupuli Lankapura ordered the release of former IGP Deshabandhu Tendakon on 2 surety bonds of 1 million rupees each. However, the magistrate issued a strong warning to the suspect not to influence witnesses and imposed strict bail conditions, including full cooperation with the ongoing investigation, prohibition from evading court proceedings, and a foreign travel ban. Meanwhile, the Criminal Investigation Department informed the Fourth Magistrates Court that an investigation has been initiated against former parliamentarian Udaya Gammampila for making statements that could incite ethnic discord during a press conference held on August 5, 2025. The department stated that the investigation follows a complaint received on August 8, 2025 and is being conducted under the ICCPR Act and the Penal Code.
Welcome back. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa has called for a joint and sustained effort among all opposition parties to counter what he described as a threat to democracy following the arrest of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe. During a meeting between opposition parties today, it was proposed that former President Ranil Wickremesinghe and opposition leader Sajid Premadasa should jointly address the nation. We are thankful for all those who supported us secure justice for former President Ranil Wickremesinghe. We are grateful to the legal team that stood by him before and after his arrest. This may be one of only a handful of cases where such a large number of attorneys were present in court. We appreciate the support of all those who supported us. Issuing a statement, the International Democracy Union expressed their dissatisfaction over the arrest of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, who had held the chairmanship of the union. At the moment, certain parties are concerned about his various health complications. The former president has been used to a specific daily routine. The sudden disruption of his routine has had a direct impact on his health. This wasn't just a personal attack. It was an assault on the country's democratic foundations.
අපි දකිනවා පුළුල් සන්දානයක් ගොඩනගෙනවා මේකත් එක්ක ඒකාබද්ධ විපක්ෂය කියලා තමයි පහුගිය දවස්වල හඳුන්වන්නේ. දැන් මේකේ අලුත් නායකයෙක් දෙන්නේ නැත්නම් පැරණි හිටපු
I believe that we don't have to worry about that now. What's important at the moment is being united to ensure that we safeguard the democracy of this country. Other matters are irrelevant.
Representatives of opposition parties convened at the office of the opposition leader to deliberate on the current political situation and formulate a unified course of action. The meeting brought together key figures from the Samaga Jana Balawegaya, United National Party and the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. During the discussions, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa emphasized the urgent need to launch a joint and sustained initiative across party lines to counter what he described as a serious threat to the country's democratic fabric. Party representatives also expressed concern over government-led efforts to intimidate citizens who participated in the protest held the previous day. In response, it was proposed that a lawyers' association be established to provide legal assistance to those facing such pressures, with former MP Chandima Veerakkuri tasked with coordinating this legal support effort. Additionally, former MPs Lasantha Alagiyawanna and Saman Ratnapriya have been appointed to lead efforts in forming a broader comprising political parties and civil society groups aimed at defending democratic principles and mobilizing continued opposition engagement.
The discussions turned out well. I think the best thing the government did was that they united the opposition. Each decision was made based on context. The political climate today is different from that during the elections. Members of the opposition agreed that both Ranil Wickremesinghe and Sajith Premadasa must address the public together. The opposition leader did not object to that proposal. The government's incompetence is now evident to everyone. We urge the people to come together across party lines to resist state repression. We never officially called for public demonstrations. However, it is within citizens' democratic rights to show support for their leader during difficult times. It is not against the law. If any laws were broken, let due process take its course. But we will continue to stand with our supporters. Former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, who contested under the banner of the gas cylinder, obtained 2 million votes in the election. He is a leader who upheld democratic values. This is the right moment for him to re-enter parliament. There are 2 MPs appointed via the national list. One of them should step down to allow the former president to take their place. The Cabinet of Ministers greenlit the proposal to establish a continuous backup electricity supply system at the Lakwijaya coal power plant in Norachole, preventing the plant from being shut down during island-wide power outages. Meanwhile, Cabinet approval was granted to award Maga Engineering Private Limited the project to repair a 15-kilometre section of the Southern Expressway between Kottawa and Dorangoda. With that, here's more on these and other key decisions taken at this week's Cabinet meeting. The Cabinet of Ministers approved a proposal by the President to sign an agreement with the European Union for an €8 million grant to implement a biodiversity conservation and solid waste management program in the central, Uva, northwestern, north central and northern provinces. The project is expected to restore degraded ecosystems, strengthen waste management practices, promote climate resilience and train communities, government institutions and the private sector. The Cabinet approved the proposal by the Minister of Agriculture, Livestock, Land and Irrigation decision to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Chinese Academy of Tropical Agricultural Sciences. Future collaboration will cover gene plasma exchange, expert exchanges, and capacity building for producers and traders of fruits, aiming to increase yields, improve post-harvest practices, and enhance value addition. The Cabinet of Ministers also greenlit the decision for Sri Lanka to sign the Bay of Bengal Regional Action Plan to combat illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. The plan, supported by member states of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, is expected to restore fish stocks, strengthen food security, and coordinate enforcement among Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, and the Maldives, as well as in shared oceanic waters. The approval of the Cabinet of Ministers was also granted to launch a 250 million rupee medium-term program on mental health awareness, for which funds were allocated under the 2025 budget. The initiative is expected to focus on suicide prevention, drug abuse reduction, and psychological support targeting school children and youth. Cabinet approval was also given to award Maga Engineering Private Limited the contract to repair a 15-kilometre section of the Southern Expressway between Kottava and Dorangoda. The decision follows the detection of cracks and structural degradation, with Maga identified as the lowest responsive bidder under the National Competitive Procurement process. The Cabinet of Ministers also approved a decision to establish a continuous backup electricity supply system at the Lakwijaya coal power plant in Norachole. The project, funded by the Ceylon Electricity Board, is expected to provide stable power for the plant's cooling and boiler systems during island-wide power cuts, preventing shutdowns that otherwise cause costly delays and financial losses. The Cabinet approved a resolution to submit to Parliament new regulations under the National Medicines Regulatory Authority Act to control drug prices. The framework introduces a clear methodology to set maximum retail prices for pharmaceutical products, with limits based on dosage, severity, and drug category. Sri Lanka will begin using the Commonwealth Meridian software next month to manage public debt. This move follows IMF and World Bank recommendations to set up a dedicated public debt management office after the country's 2022 debt default. The Commonwealth Secretariat, supporting the government alongside the IMF, helped select the Meridian system for its cost effectiveness and compatibility. The software, used by 45 countries, offers accurate, transparent debt tracking. A Commonwealth team visited Colombo this month to prepare for training and data migration. Two female students and the driver of a school van were killed instantly in a tragic head-on collision with a tipper truck this morning in the Pallevela bridge near the Villapola junction in Kuliapitiya. The three lives claimed were of two schoolgirls aged 12 and 13 and a 67-year-old van driver. 13 other students sustained injuries and are currently receiving treatment at a nearby hospital. According to the police spokesperson, preliminary investigations revealed that the accident was caused by the excessive speed of the tipper truck. The truck driver has been arrested in connection with the incident. Authorities are continuing their investigation into the crash. Welcome back. In your stock update tonight, the Colombo Bourse closed in positive territory today as a result of price gains in counters such as Dialog Ashiata, Sunshine Holdings and Royal Ceramics Lanka. The benchmark ASPI gained 139.82 points to close at 20,753.21, while the more liquid S&P Sri Lanka 20 gained 13.64 points to end the day at 6,062.44. Market turnover was 7.3 billion rupees. Foreign participation in market activity remained at subdued levels, with foreigners closing as net sellers, offloading shares worth 63 million rupees. Up next, we have Kavya Joy-Singha from Capital Alliance in our next segment, Economic Outlook.
The weekly average weighted prime lending rate declined marginally by 2 basis points, settling at 8.07% for the week ending 22nd August. The average weighted call money rate edged higher to 7.88% compared to 7.86%. Reverse money expanded, driven mainly by an increase in deposits held by commercial bank with the central bank. Consequently, market liquidity strengthened, recording a surplus of 116.40 billion billion, T-bill and T-bond yields remained broadly stable. The primary auction for T-bills recorded strong demand with an oversubscription rate of around 2 times, underscoring robust investor appetite. Activity in the secondary market picked up significantly with total transaction volumes rising by 40.5% over the previous week.
That's all for tonight from First at 9. Thank you for joining. Have a great night.